Welcome, Chrisanne. We really appreciate your leadership and taking the time to do this interview with us today.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate being here.
Absolutely. We like to begin all things by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on. We also like to acknowledge our ancestors and those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We acknowledge all the elders and community stewards whose shoulders we continue to stand on as we build and share together for a collective liberation and sovereignty. So I just want to start off by getting just the origins of the incredible work that you do. What is your background, just for context related to the initiatives that you're working on in the community?
So, where to start? I think over the course of my professional history, I've had my hand in a number of things. But what I could say that I've settled on is kind of project managing, but I would more say in the realm of really developing curriculums or programs, ideation. Love that. It's so interesting. Just bringing things to life. So whether it be kind of a project for a small business or a project for nonprofits like DLF that I'm working for, these things really give me a lot of energy. And I would say editing. I love writing, editing. So a lot of the time you'll catch me in my free time really honing in on either reports or different kind of documents that small businesses and individuals and researchers want me to create. So I have my hand in multiple things, and I love writing poetry. So
Okay, that's good. That's a good fun fact. Can you share with us a little bit about your personal mission and vision?
So in terms of my personal vision, mission and vision is one, to build great relationships. Relationships I feel like are very important on a personal and professional level. And I think that they should be genuine, mutually beneficial. So that's one of them. Two is doing good work. One of the things that I prioritize, whether I'm working with a client or I'm working for an organization, is making sure that I am thorough, that I'm resourceful, and that my work reflects well. And I would say the third thing is learning to pivot, learning to adjust. Life comes at you fast, especially in this day and age where things are changing, technology is rapidly changing, trends are rapidly changing. You have to be able to adjust. You have to be able to learn new skills, and you have to give yourself grace for doing those things. So I would say, in terms of my personal mission and vision, those are things. And then also, I would say, and this is part of the good relationships, though. One of the things that I used to do a lot, I still do it, just for referrals, though, is career strategy. So supporting people in making those pivots. So if you want to throw those, the first and the last one together, supporting people in making those pivots in their life is very, very important to me. It's a very stressful time for a lot of people, especially if you've been used to, you know, one way of doing things, and now you have to adapt. The same way I've kind of fostered that is I enjoy supporting people doing that pivot as well.
Absolutely, that's great. So how important is innovation in the work that you do?
You know, I would say it's very important. And the reason why is, especially on, I would say, the editing side, for instance, there's a lot of AI, right? And so a lot of writers or editors feel threatened in terms of the amount of work that AI can do, but AI can't do everything, right?
Mm.
You still have to be the one to prompt it. You still have to be the one to, make it sound more like you, or make it sound more like your client, right? You and make it more efficient. So instead of seeing it as a threat, kind of see it as a boost to your productivity and creativity. So that's one area. And I'm going to ask you to repeat the question again, because I had my second idea and I'm like,
Oh, yes, how important you feel innovation is in the work that you do.
right. The next thing with innovation is that because things are changing so rapidly, I think the idea of coming up with new ways to do things is a very beneficial skill to have and a very beneficial eye to kind of cultivate for things, right? People want things done faster. People want things done in new ways. People want things done more creatively. And so I think that can kind of push us forward. And I think it balances out, the boringness of just the mundane, which is very necessary. So I think it balances those things out, because we need both for, wise decisions. We need both for new projects. We need both for our personal goals, right? We might come up with a new way to do something or come up with something new that we want to do, but we need to use the mundane to kind of balance that out, like that plan, that step-by-step plan. So I think it's important, but I also think it needs balance.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what inspires you most about your work?
People, um, people, and I would say their motivations and also solutions, right? I think there's two parts of it. There's the part of it with people that, we want to be, and we want to be our best selves, right? And two, we also have motivations that we want to accomplish. So in a more professional arena, I try my best to combine those two things, because one, it makes the person that I'm working with or the organization that I'm working with more satisfied, or, accomplishing different deliverables. But also it makes it easier to kind of do the work to get to whatever it is that, or whatever place somebody wants to be. Because sometimes the work in the middle, it's nice to have the idea, right? Mm-hmm. But the work in the middle takes time. So absolutely. I find that finding a way to combine those things makes it easier for the work to get done.
That's true. So speaking of solutions, you touched on that. What challenges and barriers do you face in your work, and how are you working to overcome them?
The challenge is sometimes people are reactive, right? Sometimes things are reactive. And I think my goal is often managing that reactiveness, but also moving from a point of view of being more proactive. We often don't see the benefits of being proactive because it's actually doing its work, right? So the challenge that I face is trying to convince people that the proactive way is probably the better way, in terms of getting things done both personally and professionally. It's better to be, say, for an opportunity, it's better to be ready for that opportunity or be in the process of getting ready for that opportunity, rather than to wait until the opportunity comes and you don't know what to do next, right? I'm not saying that you'll always be prepared for each opportunity, but I think that there are certain skills that you can cultivate in the meanwhile, that can make you ready for that, so that you go into it more confident, you go into it with more knowledge, versus always kind of figuring out, oh, well, what do I need to learn now, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So do you have a key set of priorities that you're working on right now?
Yes. In terms of my personal or professional, which one?
Yeah, just your professional initiatives, whether it's in your business or what you do at work.
I think my biggest priority right now is making sure, and going back to my personal mission and vision, right? making sure that I'm supporting either the organizations or the clients that I need to in the right way. So, what are the actual things that need accomplishing? What are and kind of the different plans that I need to get there. So it's a couple of different things. So whether it's work with DLF or personally with different clients, as I mentioned, researchers, professors before, or there's also personal clients, right? So making sure I'm supporting them in that way.
Okay. So how do you feel about the future of social innovation and philanthropy in Canada?
I am hopeful. I'm hopeful. And the reason why I say that is a large part of the success of organizations, and I would say social organizations or organizations that are, have a main goal of supporting or moving other different groups or priorities in progress. I would say that as long as larger organizations kind of, I'm having a trouble getting my words. I'm not sure if we can redo this part.
Yeah, absolutely. They can cut and edit.
I think what I want to say with that is that we're a community, first and foremost, right? And so we can't expect all aspects of our community, people, organizations to, I can't hear you.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, sorry. We can't expect all people or organizations to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. That's not how they work, right? The same way we have, a child in their development, right? They have different stages, right? And somebody who's farther along comes alongside them and helps them develop during those stages, right? So I see it in the same format, where, we have these larger organizations that can come alongside other organizations and other people with different, I would say, purposes that, are dear to them, because not everybody has the same purpose, right? And I think it's a case of coming alongside them. And it doesn't mean that that organization or that program or that group loses the core of who they are. Same thing as a child, right? It doesn't mean they lose the core of who they are, but in being able to come alongside, we're able to support, right? We're able to teach, we're able to provide some kind of financial support as well, right? And I think in that relationship, there's learning trade-offs, right? You'll learn something from that organization who is progressing, and you'll learn something from that organization who's already there and deciding to give back. And I think that kind of relationship, oftentimes we might look at it and be like, is it a mutually beneficial relationship? I think once organizations, especially the larger ones, train themselves to see this as a mutually beneficial relationship, that things will become more stable, more profitable. I think there's hope there, but it's in the change of the mindset to definitely see things in that light. I think you're on mute.
Oh, I said, yeah, mindset is definitely the beginning of anything supportive and in regards to innovation. So I'm glad that you touched on that. What is your ultimate goal? So what does success look like for you and your colleagues in the future?
I don't know, some people might not like it, but my view of success is freedom, right? Freedom to be able to go where I want to go, when I want to go there, spend time with whom I want to spend time with, and do work that I think is impactful. That's my idea of freedom, and not be constrained by income or situation, right? I mean, there's always trade-offs, right? You're always going to have to kind of negotiate what those look like, but that is what I would like for myself and a quiet life. But I also want that for other people as well. And I think a part of, in terms of freedom might be mine, but it might be something different for somebody else. So what I found even in, say, some of my career strategy consultations is that, you know, everybody has different motivations. And so my goal is to kind of support those who I love dearly, those who I work with, to accomplish whatever it is that their motivation is.
Absolutely. So now that you've touched a little bit on you know, what you're looking for in the future, which we should all agree with freedom for sure. Do you have any other closing thoughts or calls to action for our community?
I would say invest in creating good partnerships, right? A part of growth is coming together, being mentored, mentoring. Invest in those good relationships and good partnerships. Do what you can to maintain them and grow them. It doesn't mean everybody has to be your bestie, right? But there is something beneficial in terms of knowing that there are relationships and partnerships and organizations that you can count on. So I would say that that is something, again, I'm very passionate about, but that would be my final thought. And that's how we'll grow, both individually and together.
That's great. I think it's so true. So I really appreciate your leadership. And like I said, taking the time to do this interview. Really appreciate you sharing your thoughts. And we'll be able to have you back in the future to talk again. We just want to close out the way that we began by acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands that we are on, as well as our ancestors and those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We like to acknowledge our elders and community stewards whose shoulders we continue to stand on as we build and share and learn together for our collective liberation. So once again, KrisAnne, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you soon.